discuss the origins and manifestations of global environmental crisis, relate everyday encounters with pollution, global warming, desertification, ozone depletion, and examine the policies and programs of governments around the world that address the environmental crisis. So, discuss the origins and manifestation of global environmental crisis. Origins of global environmental crisis can be tied to globalization because globalization brings forth the advancement of technology and inventions of things that is harmful to the environment. Example, the factories, the vehicles, and the materials like the plastic that is harmful to the environment. So, when the factories are invented, it emitted the harmful carbon dioxide to the ozone, and its chemical waste, harmful chemical waste, are to be dumped by the lands or rivers and even in the sea. So when that harmful chemicals are to be dumped in the sea or in the rivers, it might hurt the local ecosystem like the fishes and the river stream where people find its drinking water. And when it finds its way into the sea, it harms the corals, the fishes, and other useful products of the sea. So when the coral is harmed, coral is known that as the nursery and the homes of the sea, where when that corals are destroyed, fishes are nowhere to live and to nurse their youngs. And when that fishes are to lose their homes, fishes will die, and they will also die from the harmful chemical. So the population of the fishes will be depleted, and the one that will be affected to the depletion of the population of the fishes and the other ecosystem in the sea would be the fishermen and the people that depends on it. So moving on with the cars or the vehicles that emits their harmful carbon dioxide from their exhaust to the ozone. When that carbon are to be emitted into the ozone, it would cause the breach in or a hole in the ozone, and it would bring a warmer climate, and it could greatly affect us by melting the ice in the Arctic regions or the polar regions, having very little winter, which animals are dependent on it. And when the polar regions are to be melted, sea levels would rise, and when that sea levels is to be rise, coastal regions and coastal cities are greatly affected. It would be submerged by water if the ice in the polar regions are to be melted, and many ecosystem animals are to be extinct if that happens, like the polar bears, the penguins, and other animals that depended on the ice shelves when the ice melts. So, relate everyday encounters with pollution, global warming, desertification, ozone depletion. So, let's start with the pollution. Pollution is very noticeable in everyday life, where we could see rivers and seas full of plastic bottles and plastic products, and we could even see fishes that is entangled with that, like for example entangled by the nets, plastic bottles, and plastic cellophans. Other pollution is the air pollution. When that pollution is to be inhaled, it could damage our or it could cause problem in our respiratory system. And the global warming is extremely difficult by the people or the humans and also the animals. In the humans' point of view, we experience a very hot summer where it is even hard to walk in the streets without any water or any umbrellas to shade you from the harmful UV rays. And also desertification. My personal experience of desertification is when in my locality, when a land there that is used for farming of rice and also for the farming of corn crops has been desertified or has been dry or arid because of the loss of water supply, because the local spring has dried up due to drought, and therefore that resulted to the withering of the crops and couldn't be planted anymore rice. And when it comes to the corn fields, has been damaged by the artificial fertilizers, where it could no longer support crop growth because the soil has been toxic or acidic. Ozone depletion. So the ozone depletion is the thinning or the breach in the ozone that brings forth harmful UV rays, warmer climate, heat waves, and even short winters. So now, examine the policies and program of governments around the world that addresses the environmental crisis. So, a lot of of policies have been implemented because of it. For example, the climate protection. So, climate protection is meant to protect the climate of the countries, to prevent it from having a really hot summer and a really short winter, and for tropical countries to prevent it from a very harmful rainy season like floods and landslides, and for its summers to be really hot. So climate protection aims to protect the climate of the countries. Sustainable energy policies. Sustainable energy policies is an aim to embrace the sustainable energy like the solar energy, windmill or wind energy. The wind energy gives us a clean and sustainable energy due to it that it does not have any harmful effect on the environment. And also the solar energy has also don't have harmful effect to the environment, as it harnesses the energy from the sun to provide electricity to the people. So why is it important to have a sustainable energy? To have it is important to have a sustainable energy because the oil prices or even the extraction of oil is harmful to the environment, and and oil energy or the energy that comes from oil is harmful as it produces carbon dioxide when being emitted or burned from the vehicles or factories. So preservation of biological diversity and conservation of forests, seas, and soil. Biological diversity. Biological diversity needs to be conserved. Why? Because if a harmful species or an alien species is to be introduced in a in a in that diversity, it could harm the biological diversity of that certain area. For example, when the lionfish is introduced into the West or the United States, it harmed its corals and species from that area because it ate everything and robbing opportunities to other fishes or local species in that area to flourish. Another example is the boar or the feral hog problem in the United States. It is bad for them because it it damages their crops and also harms the ecosystem as it destroys the local diversity of plant species and the conservation of forests, seas, and soil. So to conserve the forest, it is important to conserve the forest to prevent the extinction of animals in that certain forest. Like it is that forest is need to, because the forest is the home of animals or native species in that area, and if that forest is to be destroyed or to be cut down, the local species or the animals that dwell in that forest would have no homes or to be extinct because they no longer have their environment. And the seas, the preservation of seas is important because the sea is one of the major incomes in the families of the Philippines. So when seas is to be damaged or destroyed, the incomes that comes from that sea would be destroyed also, and the fishermen will have no longer incomes from their livelihood from the sea. And the soils, the preservation of the soil is important for the farmers because the cultivation of the soil or preservation of it would mean crops would flourish and it is where their incomes came from. And the entirety of the population would be affected by it.
Objectives: to be able to know what is population growth, to determine the relationship of population growth to environmental issues, to know what are the important key points of the study. Population growth is the rise in the human population of Earth or the increase in the number of people in a population or dispersed group. What is the relationship of population growth to environmental issues? The Earth system is impacted by the growing human population in a number of ways, such as number 1, increasing the extraction of resources from the environment. 2, increasing the burning of fossil fuels. 3, increase in freshwater use for drinking agriculture, recreation, and industrial processes. 4. Increasing ecological impacts on environments, forests, and other habitats are disturbed or destroyed to contract urban areas, including the construction of homes, business, and roads to accommodate growing population. 5. Increasing fishing and hunting, which reduce species population of the exploited species. 6. The transmission of disease. Human living in densely populated areas can rapidly spread diseases within and among population. Conclusion. Therefore, the increase of human population may bring a huge impact to our environment because as human population grow, the strain on natural resources increase and we consume faster than the earth can.
Good day, sir. My name is Decadet Bernardo Matthew, and my topic is all about environmental issues. So, I have the three types of environmental issues. So, first is the resource depletion. Resource depletion, population growth that intensifies the demand for finite resources such as water, land, and energy, leading to over extraction or deforestation and habitat destruction. And the second is the pollution and waste. So pollution and waste is the expanding human population generates higher levels of pollution and waste, increasing the pressure on ecosystem to absorb pollutants with uh, detrimental effects on both wildlife and human health. So the last one is the water scarcity. So water scarcity, growing population escalate the demand for fresh water, resulting in water scarcity, ecosystem degradation, and potential conflicts over water resources.
So, I am Cadet Pagapulaan, and I'm here to continue the topic regarding what is the relationship of population growth to the environmental issues. So, next is agricultural expansion. The need for more agricultural land to feed a growing population contributes to deforestation, loss of diversity, and habitat destruction. Next is climate change. The rising energy consumption associated with population growth, often reliant on non-renewable resources, contributes to increased greenhouse gas emissions and exacerbating climate change. Next is strain on ecosystems. Larger populations place a strain on ecosystems, disrupting natural balances and potentially leading to irreversible environmental damage. So lastly, need for sustainable practices. Managing population growth alongside implementing sustainable resource management practices is crucial for achieving a balance between human needs and environmental preservation.
Good day, I'm Decadet Maranadrian. So my topic today is food security. So food security is the state in which individuals consistently have access to enough safe and nutritious food to meet their dietary requirements for an active and healthy life. So there are key components of food security. Number one is availability, ensuring an adequate and consistent supply of food resources. Number two, accessibility, guaranteeing that people have physical and economic access to obtain the food they need. Number three, utilization, encouraging the proper and utilization of food for adequate nutrition and health. Number four, stability, maintaining a reliable and stable access to food over time. So the importance of food security is crucial for promoting overall well-being, reducing malnutrition, and fostering societal resilience.
Good day everyone, I am Decadit Torres Raymart. I'm here today. I'm going to continue to discuss about the food security. So we have 6 causes of food insecurity. Number 1 is conflict, climate change, economic shock, poverty, natural disaster, and inequalities. So conflict is armed conflicts and political instability disrupt foods productions, distributions, and access. So it leading to crop destructions, displacement, and severe food shortages. Number 2 is climate change. Climate change is extreme weather events like droughts and floods harms agriculture by reducing crop yields and water availability for food productions. Number 3 is economic shock. Economic shock is challenges including high food prices and crisis limits people's ability to afford food, and it raising food insecurities concerns. Number 4 is poverty. Poverty is both a cause and consequence of food insecurity. So it will impoverished individual lacking access to nutritious food and falling into a cycles of hunger and malnutrition. Number 5 is natural disaster. Natural disaster is natural events such as earthquakes, hurricane disrupt agriculture, causing immediate food shortages and long-term challenges in rebuilding food system. The last is inequalities. Socioeconomic and gender disparities limit vulnerable populations' access to nutritious food, exacerbating food insecurity due to unequal access to resources and opportunities. So we have recommendations. So number 1 is enhance agricultural practices and infrastructure. Number 2 is implement social safety to support vulnerable populations. Number 3 is address climate change impacts and food productions. For the conclusions, ensuring food security's demands of comprehensive approach to address diverse challenges in communities globally.
So hello everyone, I am Det Cadet Bachansila, and for today's video, I am going to discuss what is the relationship of population growth to environmental issues of food development. So first, population growth significantly influences the environmental challenges associated with food development. As global population expands, the demand for food increases, putting pressure on agricultural system to produce more. This heightened demand often leads to the expansion of agricultural land, contributing to deforestation and habitat loss. The conversion of natural ecosystem for farming can result in the loss of biodiversity and disrupt ecological balance, exacerbating environmental issues. Moreover, the intensification of agriculture to meet the growing food demand can lead to the excessive use of fertilizer and pesticides, negatively impacting soil quality and water resources. Runoff from agricultural activities can contaminate water bodies, causing pollution and posing threats to aquatic ecosystem. So, additionally, the need for increased food production may drive unsustainable farming practices, further depleting soil fertility and exacerbating environmental degradation. Addressing the intersection of population growth, food development, and environmental issues requires a holistic approach, implementing sustainable agriculture practices, promoting efficient resource use, and investing in innovative technologies can help mitigate the negative impacts of population growth on the environment, while ensuring a secure and resilient food supply for the growing global population. And that's all.
So my topic is the relationship between population growth to development. So the relation between population growth and development is complex and multifaceted. Different perspective exists on how population growth influences development. And the relation can vary depending on factors such as the level of economic development, social policies, and resources management. So the relationship between population growth and development is nuanced and context dependent. While some argue that population growth can impede development, others emphasize the importance of addressing underlying issues such as education, healthcare, and resource management to ensure that population growth contributes positively to sustainable development. Effective policies and strategies are essential to managing population growth in a way that supports long-term economic, social, and environmental well-being.
Welcome everyone. Today, we delve into the critical relationship between population growth and sustainability. As our world navigates environmental challenges, understanding the dynamics of these two factors becomes paramount. Number 1. Resource consumption. As the global population grows, so does the demand for natural resources such as water, energy, and raw materials. Increased population puts pressure on ecosystems and can lead to overexploitation of natural resources, contributing to environmental degradation. Number 2. Carbon footprint. Larger populations tend to produce more greenhouse gas emissions, contributing to climate change. Higher population density in urban areas, coupled with increased industrialization and consumption patterns, can result in greater carbon footprints. Number 3. Land use and habitat loss. The expansion of human settlements to accommodate a growing population often leads to deforestation, habitat loss, and fragmentation. This can lead to detrimental effects on biodiversity and ecosystem services.
Waste generation. Higher population levels generate more waste, including solid waste and pollutants. Managing and disposing of waste sustainably becomes a significant challenge as population increase. Pressure on agricultural systems. A growing population requires more food production, which can lead to the expansion of agricultural land, deforestation, and increased use of fertilizers and pesticides. These practices can have negative environmental impacts on soil fertility and water quality. Social and economic factors. The relationship between population growth and sustainability is also influenced by social and economic factors. Issues such as poverty, inequality, and lack of access to education and healthcare can exacerbate environmental challenges. In summary, the relationship between population growth and sustainability is complex. While a growing population can strain natural resources and contribute to environmental issues, addressing sustainability requires more than just controlling population size. It involves a holistic approach that considers consumption patterns, technological advance, social factors, and effective resources management. Achieving sustainability demands a coordinated effort to balance population and dynamics with environmental conservation, promoting education, responsible resource use, and equitable development.
Good day everyone, I am Dikadet Chakrabanti. I am here to talk about future globalization. The origins of global environmental crisis can be traced to industrialization, population growth, and unsustainable resources exploitation. Manifestations include pollution from industrial and domestic sources, global warming due to greenhouse gas emissions, desertification from land degradation, and ozone depletion primarily caused by certain chemicals. Everyday encounters with pollution are evident in air and water quality issues when climate change affects weather patterns and ecosystems. Governments worldwide have implemented various policies and programs to address these crises. These range from emission reduction targets and renewable energy initiatives to conservation efforts and international agreements like the Paris Agreement. However, the effectiveness varies and challenges persist due to economic interests, political obstacles, and the interconnected nature of environmental issues. The future of globalization intersects with environmental concerns as it requires a balanced approach. Sustainable development practices, technological innovations, and international cooperations are essential. Striking a balance between economic growth and environmental conservation is crucial for a sustainable and resilient global future. An example of global environmental crisis is climate change, primarily driven by the increase in greenhouse gas emissions. Everyday encounters with these crises include extreme weather events such as hurricanes, heat waves, and rising sea levels. Governments worldwide have responded with policies like carbon reduction targets, renewable energy incentives, and participations in international agreements like the Paris Agreement. For instance, countries like Germany have implemented ambitious renewable energy policies, leading to a significant share of the energy coming from sources like wind and solar. On the other hand, challenges persist as seen in some countries with high carbon footprints due to reliance on fossil fuels. This illustrates the complexity of addressing environmental issues in the context of globalization, where interconnected economies and varying priorities necessitate collaborative efforts and sustainable practices for a more resilient future.
What is the relationship of population growth to the future of globalization? Population growth significantly influences the future of globalization. A larger population can stimulate demand, innovation, and economic growth, potentially fostering greater interconnectedness and global trade. So, it stimulates demand because when the global population is larger, then demands of products or innovations or inventions is too greatly stimulated. So innovation and economic growth. Innovation is influenced when the population is to grow largely or significantly, because when the population is bigger, it have more people or more members of the society to innovate or invent something. Like it could, or like the people in a larger society or in a larger population could innovate. For example, as the population growth from the 1800s to the 2000s, it had made a lot of innovation, like the invention of computers, cell phones, vehicles, power plants, and many more innovations that help the globalization. Economic growth it could really help the economic growth because more people have its part on building the economy, like or it's called the demography, because when more people has works and more people become successful, and more chances of the society to grow or to flourish. So interconnectedness and global trade, the more people we have, the more interconnected we are, because the more people to advertise our beliefs and our cultures. And the global trade, when we have the global trade, by that, because when people have more population, there's more product, and with that we trade globally, and we have more innovation, then we could harness, or we could welcome more traders, because we have more innovation, more products, and more inventions. So, and with that, we could harness wider trade to wider movements, or to wider countries around the world. However, it can also strain resources. So by this, it could strain resources, because more people means more farmlands, means more livestock, and now we are even suffering from shortages or the food security issues, and now when the population is to grow even further, then that issues or the global strain of resources is very impending to happen. This impacts the environment and create challenges in terms of inequality and resource distribution. So it is harder for us to distribute resources, as we have a very little of it, which may affect how globalization progresses in the future.